And breaking news coming in, the death of an Indian national working for the Russian army in Ukraine has brought renewed focus to the use of foreign nationals by the Russian government on the front lines amid the war with Ukraine. This is from North Koreans to as well as Cubans who have been deployed to the front lines by the Russian military. And this has revived a huge issue over the otherwise thriving relationship between India and Moscow. This has become a sticking point between the Indian government as well as Russia. Now, in a major development, the Ministry of External Affairs has said that at least 16 Indian nationals were deployed by the Russian army to fight in Ukraine, and they are currently missing, while 12 have been killed so far. That is the big piece of news that's coming in when it comes to the Russia-Ukraine war and the use of Indian nationals on the front lines. Let's listen in to the MEA spokesperson, Randhir Jaiswal.
We have been telling you that we have been in constant touch with Russian authorities for early release and repatriation of Indian nationals who are serving in the Russian army. As of today, of all the known cases that have come to us, we have had 126 cases. Of these 126 cases of people who were serving in Russian armed forces or are serving in Russian armed forces, 96 people have already returned. They have been discharged. They have been discharged from the Russian armed forces. As per our available information, 18 Indian nationals in the Russian army remain. Out of these, 16 individuals, their whereabouts are not known, and the Russian side has categorized them as missing. We remain engaged with the Russian authorities to ascertain the whereabouts of the missing Indian nationals, as also seeking early release and repatriation of those who remain. So that is the status.
And I'm joined by my colleague Siddhant on the broadcast. So Siddhant, this is also a huge concerning development coming in amid the war in Ukraine and the MEA laying out those numbers. As per the MEA, 16 Indian nationals deployed by the Russian army to fight in Ukraine are missing, while 12 have been killed so far. Just clarify for us that when it comes to Indian nationals and foreign nationals being deployed on the front lines, is this an entire fraud racket that is being run by the Russian military to attract these foreign nationals and then deploy them after getting them to sign certain documents as well as certain pledges and then push them to the front lines?
Well, that's right, Ayushman. Perhaps it's a very, very tragic news that we are getting from Ministry of External Affairs. That Russia has categorized 16 Indians serving in Russian army as missing. Perhaps this is for the first time that we are getting to know from either of the sides, because so far 96 have returned. Ayushman, when Prime Minister Modi went to Moscow in July, perhaps at a summit level, at a prime ministerial level, this issue was raised with President Putin. And in fact, there was a very positive response that India got from Russia. And right after Prime Minister's return, there have been many Indians, those who have been discharged from the Russian army. Now, since they are bound by contracts, it becomes a process, and that process takes time. So unfortunately, 12 of them have lost their lives. This is what Ministry of External Affairs has confirmed. 16 of them have been put into the category of missing, and India seeks for their early discharge and repatriation. The 16 figure has perhaps come for the first time, and this could, Ayushman, become point of contention between India and Russia, because India has for a very long time been asking Russia for the discharge and the repatriation of these Indian nationals. Russia has also shown a very positive attitude when it comes to giving statements in media. In fact, many of these Indians have returned also. 96 of them have returned back after Prime Minister's intervention. But the 16 missing number that have been given by the Russian authorities is something which is not going down well with the Indian government. And Indian government wants Russia to find them out, to know, Indian government wants to know the exact status of these 16 missing Indians, those who are serving in the Russian army, and want to know their exact status, and India wants their repatriation. And this is for the first time MEA has put things on the record 126 were the total on-record cases, Ayushman. 16 of them have been put in the missing category, 12 of them have died, and 96 of them have returned. So this how India is going to put up this particular case of 16 missing would something be really interesting to see, as MEA has also announced that this year India will be hosting the annual India-Russia summit, and we could expect President Putin to travel to India. Perhaps, the buzz is that that visit could take place in the first quarter of 2025. So how India is going to deal with this issue is something which would really be interesting to see, and whether it will become point of contention between the two countries, because India has been very, very seriously taking up this matter, both at the embassy level in Moscow and at the ministry level here in New Delhi. And in fact, when Prime Minister also went to Moscow, this was the priority. This was the priority element on his agenda. So how India is going to handle this particular case, especially the case of 16 missing Indians, and how Russia would respond to it, would something really be interesting to see, because their families are waiting for these Indians who were serving in Russian army. And as you rightly said, Ayushman, this was a scam which was going on through Dubai, through the Central Asian countries. These young Indians were recruited, they were lured with money, lakhs of money, and they had traveled through various routes to go to Russia. And when they went to Russia, they realized that they have signed a contract to work in the army. So some willingly took the job, some unwillingly had to take up the job because they had already signed the contract. So, that's also the part of an investigation, because if you remember, Ayushman, CBI is already doing investigation into the matter. In fact, red corner notices have also been issued against the accused in the case, those who were sitting in abroad and were recruiting Indians sitting in Dubai and other countries for the Russian army. So those people are under the lens of Indian investigating agencies. But right now, the figure of 16 missing is shocking, and it would really be interesting to see that how India is going to handle it, how India is going to take up this issue with the Russian authorities, and how Russia is going to respond to it. Given the changing geopolitical, circumstances, and given India-Russia strategic ties, such issues are often very sensitive and delicate. So it would really be interesting to see that how Russia is going to handle it.
Right. Thank you, Siddhant, for joining us on the broadcast with that piece of breaking news. So as per the MEA and the figures they've got from the Russian administration, 126 known cases of Indian nationals serving on the front lines. Could this number be higher is also another question emerging from this case. We will continue to track all the developments coming in. For now, quick break. More news and updates on the other side.